Good morning, children. Welcome back. Here I am with a new video of history, chapter number 9, The Making of Regional Cultures. One of the common way of describing people is in terms of the language they speak. When we refer to a person as a Tamil or an Oriya, this usually means that he or she speaks Tamil or Oriya and lives in Tamil Nadu or Orissa. We also tend to associate each region with distinctive kinds of food, clothes, poetry, dance, music, and painting. Sometimes we take these identities for granted and assume that they have existed from time immemorial. However, the frontiers separating regions have evolved over time. Also, what we understand as regional cultures today are often the product of complex processes of intermixing of local traditions with ideas from other parts of the subcontinent. As we will see, some traditions appear specific to some regions, others seem to be similar across regions, and yet others derive from older practices in a particular area but take a new form in other regions. Now let us discuss about the Cheras and the development of Malayalam. Let us begin by looking at an example of the connection between language and region. The Chera kingdom of Mahodayapuram was established in the 9th century in the southwestern part of the peninsula, part of present day Kerala. It is likely that Malayalam was spoken in this area. The rulers introduced the Malayalam language and script in their inscription. In fact, this is one of the earliest examples of the use of the regional language in official records in the subcontinent. At the same time, the Cheras also drew upon Sanskritic traditions. The temple theatre of Kerala, which is traced to this period, borrowed stories from the Sanskrit epics. The first literary works in Malayalam, dated to about the 12th century, are directly indebted to Sanskrit. Interestingly enough, a 14th century text, the Leela Tilakam, dealing with grammar and poetics, was composed in Manipravalam, literally diamonds and corals, referring to the two languages, Sanskrit and the regional language. Now let us discuss about the rulers and religious traditions. The Jagannatha cult. In other regions, regional cultures grew around religious traditions. The best example of this process is the cult of Jagannatha, which literally means Lord of the World, a name for Vishnu. It was made at Puri, Orissa. To date, the local tribal people make the wooden image of the deity, which suggests that the deity was originally a local god who was later identified with Vishnu. In the 12th century, one of the most important rulers of the Ganga dynasty, Anantavarman, decided to erect a temple for Purushottama Jagannatha at Puri. Subsequently, in 1230, King Anangabhima III dedicated his kingdom to the deity and proclaimed himself as the deputy of the god. As the temple gained its importance as a center of pilgrimage, its authority in social and political matters also increased. All those who conquered Orissa, such as the Mughals, the Marathas, and the English East India Company, attempted to gain control over the temple. They felt that this would make their rule acceptable to the local people. Now let us discuss about the Rajputs and the tradition of heroism. In the 19th century, the region that constitutes most of the present-day Rajasthan was called as Rajputana by the British. While this may suggest that this was an area that was inhabited only or mainly by Rajput, this is only partly true. There were several groups who identify themselves as Rajputs, in many areas of northern and central India. And of course, there are several peoples other than Rajput who live in Rajasthan. However, the Rajputs are often recognized as contributing to the distinctive culture of Rajasthan. These cultural traditions were closely linked with the ideals and aspirations of rulers. From about the 8th century, most of the present day state of Rajasthan was ruled by various Rajput families. Prithviraj was one such ruler. These rulers cherished the ideal of the hero who fought valiantly, often choosing death on battlefield rather than face defeat. Stories about Rajput heroes were recorded in poems and songs, which were recited by specially trained minstrels. These preserved the memories of the heroes and were expected to inspire others to follow their examples. Ordinary people were also attracted by these stories, which often depicted dramatic situations and a range of strong emotions: loyalty, friendship, love, valor, anger, etc. Did women find a place within these stories? Sometimes they figure as the cause for conflict, as men fought with one another to either win or protect women. Women are also depicted as following their heroic husband in both life and death. There are stories about the practice of sati or the immolation of widows on the funeral pyre of their husbands. So, those who followed the heroic ideal often had to pay for it with their lives. Now, let us discuss about beyond the regional frontiers, the story of Kathak. If heroic traditions can be found in different regions in different forms, the same is true of dance. Let us look at the history of one dance form, Kathak. Now associated with several parts of North India, the term Kathak is derived from Katha, a word used in Sanskrit and other languages for story. The Kathaks were originally a caste of storytellers in temples of North India who established their performances with gestures and song. Kathak began evolving into a distinct mode of dance in the 15th and 16th centuries. With the spread of Bhakti movement, the legends of Radha Krishna were enacted in folk plays called Ras Leela, which combined folk dance with the basic gestures of Kathak storytellers. Under the Mughal emperors and their nobles, Kathak was performed in the court, where it acquired its present features and developed into a form of dance with a distinctive style. Subsequently, it developed into two traditions or gharanas, one in the courts of Rajasthan, Jaipur, and others in Lucknow. Under the patronage of Wajid Ali Shah, the last Nawab of Awadh, it grew into a major art form. By the third quarter of the 19th century, it was firmly entrenched as a dance form not only in these two regions but in the adjoining areas of present-day Punjab, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, Bihar, and Madhya Pradesh. Emphasis was laid on intricate and rapid footwork, elaborate costumes, as well as on the enactment of stories. Kathak, like several other cultural practices, was viewed with disfavor by most British administrators in the 19th and 20th centuries. So, children, this is all for today. We will discuss more about this chapter in the next video and wish you a very happy new year.